All right, this is John Cole with DiscountJuicers.com. Today I have the pleasure of being at the 2013 Expo East, which is the trade show for the natural products industry. I'm here at the Tribest booth today, giving a special demo of the all-new Dynablend glass pitcher blender with stainless steel scoop. So what you're gonna see in this episode is me giving the demo here at the Tribest booth, making one of my favorite green smoothies. So I guess without further ado, let's get into the video. Eating fresh foods, and actually the natural foods movement is founded on eating fresh fruits and fresh vegetables, and nowadays it's gotten so deranged with just eating more packaged foods. And what I want everybody to do is get back to eating natural foods, foods that you could grow in your very garden. I mean, I have spinach and kale growing in my garden. It's a bit harder to grow bananas, but everybody could maybe even grow some wheatgrass inside with the wheatgrass growth that they're selling on the other side of the booth. And you could even put some wheatgrass, a little bit of wheatgrass, in these appliances with enough liquid to blend it up so that you'll get optimal digestion. And that's the real power of the Tribest products. They're really going to break down the fibrous cell walls in spinach and kale into something that you could get the nutrition out of. It's sad in this day and age that most people do not chew their food well enough. I mean, we all feed babies baby food, and that's because babies don't have teeth, so we need things in a liquid mush consistency to get optimal digestion. And most people take 2 chews and swallow, and when you do that, you're not going to get optimal digestion. So that's why I like the Tribest blenders here, also their juicers. They literally remove the fiber in the case of juicers and break down the fiber in the case of the blenders so that you'll get better digestion. Each of these products have their pros and cons. I like the Tribest Personal Blender because it allows you to make just a small personal blend. I mean, enough to take to work, on the road, in the car, and it's very simple to make a green smoothie in the personal blender. First, you're going to want to add some liquid. Today we're adding some C2O coconut water, and it's very important when you're making a blended mixture to have enough liquids in there, whether you want to use water, coconut water out of a package. I like to use fresh coconuts in most cases. You're just going to put some in there. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add some leafy greens. So we're going to pack in a whole bunch of spinach. Spinach is one of the vegetables that's highest on the Andes scoring system. That was made up by Dr. Joel Fuhrman. Did any of you guys see Dr. Joel Fuhrman talk this morning? He gave an excellent keynote presentation. So he talked about eating nutrient-dense foods instead of calorie-dense foods. Calorie-dense foods are things like fast foods and processed foods that have a lot of calories but not a lot of micronutrients, more specifically vitamins and minerals and antioxidants and phytochemicals. These are the things like lycopene in tomatoes or different, flavonoids in the kales that have been shown to prevent things like cancer and whatnot. And people are eating high-calorie foods, which really adds the weight, but not really feeding the body, whereas the micronutrient-dense foods, such as the spinach, the leafy greens, and the fruits and vegetables are at the top of the list, and based on Dr. Joel Fuhrman's work, are going to allow you the highest level of health. So as you see, we got the liquids, we got some spinach, and now we're just going to simply add a couple bananas in here. And then we put the base on the blender, just roll this up, and this is so simple even a child could do it. It will not come on unless the machine's properly assembled. We'll just put that in and just press it down. It's just going to go ahead and spin all that up and break up the fiber in the spinach, break up the bananas, and the reason why we add the bananas is to make it sweet. If you just added greens and some liquids like the coconut water, it's not going to taste very good. We want to make this food available to people and get, especially kids, that are most important, to start eating these foods. And I mean, kids these days are used to sugary drinks. What better way to get sugars into your body than whole, fresh, ripe fruits? So for me, the fruits are the sweetener and the vegetables are where the nutrients are. And now simply you could take one of these to, work with you in the car. Just take it like this, and instead of your morning coffee, you could have a morning green smoothie. Definitely excellent. Now this is a nice personal size for a single person, but what if you have a whole family you're trying to feed? Well, that's where this guy comes in. This is actually called the Dynablend horsepower blender. It's 1+ horsepower. And the nice thing I like about the Dynablend blender is that it actually has a nice glass graph. Most blenders on the market, especially high power blenders in this day and age, have plastic carafes, and many people may be concerned about plastic in the environment, plastic in their household. So I like that this is glass, nice and heavy duty. And this has a few unique features on the blender that other blenders actually in this price range do not have. Number one, it has a long warranty, which is very important. Number two, it has some automatic programs on it. You could actually just turn it from on to off, and then you could actually have a variable speed. So this will vary the speed much like the volume control on your television. You don't always have the volume up high blast. You could actually run this at slow speed and then turn it up to high. Another feature that I really like about this blender, and it's rare to find a blender in this price range with some of these features, are timed features. So much like when you go to the juice and smoothie bar and they make something for you, they press the button, they literally walk away, and then they come back and the machine's automatically turned itself off. This is the blender you do not have to babysit because it's literally pre-programmed. You could hit a little button here. It's going to be a 60-second blend. This is 60-second combo blend, and this is 30-second pulse blend. And that's the feature that I'll be sharing with you guys today, the pulse blend. It's definitely really cool. The pulse blend is optimized to blend but not over blend foods such as bananas. It's very easy to overblend bananas or other foods, and if you blend too long, the longer you're blending, the more oxidation that is happening to the food that's inside the blender. So the first step is we've added some liquids here. Now we're just going to go ahead and simply add some greens, whether we want to add some spinach, whether we want to add some kale. We're going to put a couple pieces of kale in here. Once again, these are nutrient-dense foods versus calorie-dense foods. Very important to eat enough greens. My goal every day is to eat 2 pounds of leafy greens, which is a lot. You might be thinking, man, John, that's a lot of leafy greens. Do you eat anything else? Well, leafy greens to me are like one of the staple foods in my diet. And by simply taking a pound of leafy greens and putting it in this blender with some coconut water and some bananas, and you can literally have a nice smoothie that could literally be a meal replacement. And it's probably one of the healthiest meal replacements that you could drink. So that'd be one way I could use easily a pound of leafy greens. Another way I could easily use a pound of leafy greens is if I put it through the slow start juicer here. A pound of leafy greens in the slow start juicer will produce only about 1 cup of juice. And then now I'll be literally getting all the nutrition out of the 1 pound of greens into me without the fiber. So it's very important to concentrate the greens to get them in you, because most people will just not sit here and eat a salad of a pound of leafy greens, especially things as strong as the kale, but even sometimes the celery. So now that we have the kale and the spinach in there with the coconut water, we're just going to go ahead and simply turn this on to the maximum speed. It's going to run at a nice high speed. This machine runs faster than your standard household blender that you'd buy at a department store. Because it runs faster, it has a specially optimally designed blade, it's sharper, it's going to really fractionate the different vegetables or the leafy greens that are in there. Once we have this blended up, so now we have a mixture of the coconut water and the leafy greens, and you can't see any big chunks of leafy greens left. It's done quite a fine job. If you've done this same exact mixture in a standard household blender, you'd probably likely see big chunks of leafy greens that just frankly just did not get blended up. And if leafy greens and other vegetables and fruits you're putting in there are not getting blended up optimally, you're not going to get optimal digestion out of it. Now that we have the coconut water and the greens blended up, next we're going to add the bananas. And there's a reason why I didn't just add the bananas from the get-go, because if you overblend bananas, then they tend actually not to taste so good, and they tend to oxidize more. It's much like when you cut open the apple and it starts to turn brown. Well, the same thing happens to bananas in a much more quicker way, especially when in a blender. The blender is running at 20,000 RPMs. I mean, that's like cutting it 20,000 times, and the more you cut it, the more it's gonna oxidize. So in this case, it's gonna actually oxidize less because we're not gonna run it with the greens. That does take a little bit more blending to blend up properly. We're going to actually use a feature on the Dynablend that actually no other blender that I know of has. It's actually the 30-second pulse blend. So what the 30-second pulse blend is going to do, this is simply going to run the blender high speed for a second and then turn it off for a second. Run it for a second, turn it off. And if we ran continuously, then it's going to blend a lot more than it instead of cycling it on and off. So we're just going to go ahead and now and press the pulse here. It turns it on, then it turns it off. And because the bananas are so soft in the texture, we don't need to run it continuously. We're letting it run, it's gonna break up the bananas, then it's gonna stop, and then now the bananas that are not blended up are gonna sink to the bottom. It's gonna turn it back on, blend it, let it blend up, and then everything unblended is gonna sink to the bottom again. And I think that's pretty much, I mean, we didn't even have to go the whole 30 seconds, and now our bananas are completely blended up. And then now we have a delicious banana, spinach, and kale green smoothie to drink. This is the kind of beverage that I want everybody to drink. About the only way we could make this beverage better is if we grew the greens in our garden ourselves. I definitely advocate that people have their own vegetable gardens. Vegetables are very easy to grow. I mean, if there's grass growing outside, if there's trees and shrubs growing outside, you could grow a vegetable garden. So that'll pretty much conclude my demonstration today for the Dynablend blender and also the Tribest personal blender. You want to definitely come over to the other side of the booth to learn more about some of the Tribest products that makes healthy living easier. They basically allow you to eat more fresh fruits and vegetables, and that's what, again, this whole industry was founded on, is, you know, getting good nutrition, and in my opinion, fresh fruits and vegetables are the best way to do it. Thank you. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. Once again, my name is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Be sure to visit DiscountJuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for our YouTube visitors.